Greetings, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the RFID, or Radio Frequency ID scanner. As you can see a picture of it here that's in your kit. So RFID, Radio Frequency ID, is a way typically to wirelessly identify devices or products. And so the nice thing about RFID tags, which is what we read, is that you can embed a tag in clothing, in key cards, in key fobs, in small devices. You don't actually have to have power to them, which makes them very versatile. And then we have the reader, and the reader is the blue chip that you saw. And what that does is it sends a radio frequency or electromagnetic pulse. And when it does, it generates a small signal in the tag that's embedded, say, in a card, and that sends back a response. So it's able to use passive energy or energy to passively get a signal back. So you see these all over the place. They can be used in inventory tracking. So if you have a sensor that goes off, if you accidentally take some expensive item out of a store, that'll go off. If you're manufacturing parts or you're doing inventory in a warehouse, you can put an RFID tag in all the parts, and then you can automatically pick things up. Let's say a robot could go and choose the parts it needed based on the RFID tag. We also see this a lot in like hotel cards or apartment cards or whatever, when you have a digital card, or a card rather, that you can swipe or just touch. Your USC card also has an RFID tag, and this uses the same technology, which is Apple Pay and all those kinds of payment systems. That's called NFC, which is essentially a slightly different form of RFID, but it's the same concept. So just to give you some background on our sensor, the sensor that we're using is designed to read a 13.56 megahertz card. Is that important? Not really. It's important to know, though, that you have a scanner that reads a certain frequency, and so if you're going to buy cards to use it with the scanner, it has to match that frequency. So just keep that in mind, which I believe that this scanner unfortunately doesn't work with a USC card. I think it uses a different frequency. This sensor that we're using is going to use SPI, which we've talked about before, so it's a communication protocol. And this particular sensor is 3.3 volts, so don't use the 5-volt line to power it. So as you can see there's one of the cards. We also have key fobs, the small little keychain sensors. And so every card or every key fob or everything you're going to embed a tag in, it's going to have a unique code. We call this the RFID ID, I guess, tag or code. And it's typically in, as you can see there, it's written in hexadecimal. Hexadecimal is just a different numbering system, where instead of going from 0 to 9, it goes from 0 to F, where A is 10, B is 11, C is 12, and so on. It's not particularly important in this context, but when you're looking at what is the unique code for this particular card, it's going to look something like that. So that's just kind of explaining where that comes from. Here's the general wiring. As you can see, it's kind of a lot of pins to wire. It's actually 7 different things we have to wire. Just going to note a couple things. Your reset pins, the reset pin and your SDA pin, those can be any analog or digital output pin. That's fine. Doesn't really matter. Any pin is fine. But do note a couple things. This IRQ you're not going to use, so we're going to leave that one blank. The MFC 522, as you can see there, that's the library that we're going to use to generate our communication with the scanner.